Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. Since the first semester of med school ended, I have been wanting to do a kind of semester in review video, just looking back on all the things that I went through, everything I overcame, all the successes, the lessons I learned, and what advice I might be able to share with you if you are getting ready to start med school, or maybe even if you're a parent of someone who's going into med school. There is just so much to think about. Let's get into it because I want to cover what happens from getting your offer to relocating to school, how financial aid works and how it fits into that and what you need to budget for, all of the crazy things that happened in my life once school actually started and what you might want to try to avoid, then go into what a typical schedule looked like, as well as the learning pathway that I chose at my school and what a directed study pathway really meant as far as scheduling. Then actually tell you about my academic performance. So I'll share my grades with you. We'll do a little what's in my bag segment to cover the things that I took with me on a daily basis to medical school, as well as all of the other things I use either at home or that I was required to purchase through the school, some of which I didn't ever end up using but still had to have, and then just some final tips and thoughts to wrap it all up. We had a registration day on a Friday, so we all kind of showed up. It was really great coming from the masters because I knew so many people. We had been on Zoom, so we hadn't actually met in person, and so it was kind of like a great reunion. I loved seeing all the people whose names and faces I had seen on Zoom, and I just gave so many big hugs. It was just exceptional. I loved it. It was fun. It was really just a kind of meet and greet day and a sign in to the school to say, hey, I'm here. Yes, I'm going to do this. I plan on doing it. Keep my seat. And that's kind of where the fun ended for a while. That is when my series of highly unfortunate events began. I had taken Justice to daycare, I think Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that week. Come Saturday, she was sick, like dog sick. So I knew I was not going to be able to start my first day of med school on Monday. That was just how it was, being a single mom in a new place, not knowing anyone. I was going to have to stay home with my daughter. Now, because it is the COVID era and because my school does allow some unvaccinated students, they did have Zoom set up to record our lectures and broadcast them live so that those unvaccinated students that weren't within the general population of the student body could actually participate in real time with our lectures. So I reached out to some classmates and I was able to acquire the links for those lectures, and I still attended. I attended every single lecture, everything that was actually broadcast on Zoom. I attended from home, sitting next to my sick daughter. I need to reference my notes here. So Justice was sick there, so I didn't get to start my first day, or really, I think it was like my first week. And then I got sick. Justice is sick, I get sick. Justice never really quite got better. She was able to go to daycare for a few days and then she was sick again. At one point, we had, I think, 5 visits with our brand new physician's office in the span of 1 week. We were literally there every single day, either for my daughter Justice or for me. All right, recap. Justice is sick, I'm sick, Justice is sick again. So at this point, they start Justice on an antibiotic. 10 days of antibiotics, try to clear the bacterial infection. She finally, towards the end of this, day 8 or 9, I'm able to get her back into daycare, and only for like a day or two, right? Take her back to the doctor. They give her a second round of antibiotics to see if we can really just nip this thing in the bud once and for all, right? Now, through all of this, I was still doing everything in my power to be a mother to my sick child, as well as perform as a brand new first year medical student. I was attending every lecture that was on Zoom. I was staying engaged. I was reaching out to my peers. I was helping them. I was doing okay. I hadn't lost hope, but I will say I was dealing with imposter syndrome. It was kind of awful. I actually had texted some of my peers from the SMP from last year and told them, I have this recurring nightmare. Like, I'm doing okay, my grades are all right, sometimes they're great, sometimes they're mediocre, but I'm doing relatively well. But I have this nightmare that I'm gonna wake up one of these days and be told, you're too much trouble, we're taking your seat away from you and going to give it to someone who's more deserving. After everything I had been through to get to medical school, after doing the master's program, working my tail off to meet benchmarks so that I could get an offer into the DO program, after relocating across the country and putting myself $14,000 in the hole, taking my daughter from everything she had ever known in her life to a brand new place, my worst nightmare was that I was going to be told that it could all just be gone. It seems like I was catastrophizing, and I knew that. Logically, I knew that. I told my friends, this is a nightmare that I have, and I know it's not going to happen because I'm here and I'm making it, and we're already nearly 2 months into medical school. Why would it happen, right? It did. My nightmare came true. I was asked to make a decision, to find a way to choose medical school. Some things that came out of this were that I wasn't making medical school a priority, that by choosing my daughter, I was rejecting my medical education. I was asked to send my daughter away so I could go to medical school. And then I was asked why I wasn't okay with doing that. I've actually had some people reach out to me and tell me that they do consider sending their children away so that they can go to school. And if you're comfortable with that, by all means, I support it. If that is what you and your family and your children need, then do it. But that wasn't the right decision for me. It wasn't anything that I was even willing to consider. My daughter is such a part of my identity and my strength. I wouldn't be going to medical school without my daughter. I was doing other things with my life. I studied accounting. I studied exercise science. I was working in medical research. I have so many passions, actually, but my daughter's my inspiration to do more, to be better, to find a way to support others who want to do extremely difficult but extremely impactful things with their lives. My daughter had to be by my side. So after many tears, lots of frustrations, cathartic complaining, asking my family for help, and not really having the answer to fix, I suppose, what was being looked at as broken, I found every last ounce of strength in me, a lot of which actually came from my SMP friends. They were the ones who told me don't give up, that they supported me and that they would stand behind me. They told me to stand strong, that I had earned my spot. So with a little bit of quiver and my tail between my legs, by the end of that day, I said, I'm not exactly sure how, but I will succeed in school. I was told that there was absolutely no way that I would not fail anatomy. We were in anatomy at the time. Funny thing was, I wasn't failing anatomy. And I'll tell you right now, I didn't fail anatomy. Med school's tough. You have to have the belief in yourself more than anyone else. Because if you don't believe in yourself at the end of the day, you can't do it. No one can believe in you for you enough to get you to the end. Okay, so back to my series of unfortunate events, right? Justice got sick, I got sick, Justice was sick again. All of this hoopla about maybe not being cut out for med school happened. I stuck to my guns, and then Justice got sick again. So they think she had a viral infection eventually on top of her bacterial infections that we just couldn't quite kick with the antibiotics. But she got to the point where she was really lethargic, and I looked at my teeny tiny 29-pound 2-year-old who lost 3 pounds in the matter of a few days and was vomiting, hadn't really eaten for about 2 weeks. We ended up in the ER, I think a couple times actually. One time we were referred to the ER and she received fluids and all sorts of tests. Now, remember, I had an injury. I had to have this surgery, but I wasn't able to get it scheduled until about a month into school. So I missed one more day. I did have to go under general anesthesia, and it was about a 3.5, 4-hour surgery. I was probably a really funny patient because I was in there and I was looking at the clock like, y'all need to get me into the OR already because I've only got 6 more hours for you to get me in, get me out, wake me up, and then I need to get over to my daughter's daycare to get her picked up. Yeah, that's how that day went. I got out, I took care of my daughter. I was sore for a couple of weeks, but we survived. Then my daughter gets RSV. And at this point, I am really freaking out. I have missed so much school. I've been out of school more than I've actually been in school. I said I was really gonna do this, and now I have to take more time off. RSV, she definitely can't go to daycare. I'm worried that maybe we're gonna end up having to go into the hospital if it gets really, really bad. So I flew my mother out here to Pennsylvania like next day. She stayed for a week, watched my daughter so that I could go to school. And while she was here, we had the heart-to-heart conversation that we'd actually been having for over a year. She agreed at that point to move out here to Pennsylvania to help us out. That is an incredibly selfless act. I knew that it was something that she didn't want to do. I'd asked her many times. I knew that it was really selfish of me. I'm a grown woman. I have my own child. Med school turns us all back into children, and we need our parents. We need our families. We need our support systems to get us through it. So my mom flew back to Utah, and right around that time, guess what? Justice's daycare then closed due to COVID. I couldn't win for anything. I just couldn't. I had to tell my school again that I was going to be out for at least another 14 days quarantining due to the COVID exposure that Justice had at daycare. Anyways, during this time, I was house hunting yet again. I was meeting with realtors, trying to find one that I actually liked. I feel like a lot of them are just lie through their teeth to get you to give them a sale. And I don't appreciate that. I actually appreciate honesty and sincerity far more than anything else, any flashy thing you can throw on a piece of shit. So we actually ended up in a really darling house. It has the yard that we needed for my mother and her dogs, as well as my daughter to go out and have fun. We were kind of trying to put the pieces of the life that we had and all of the comforts and the conveniences back into place here. And about a month later, we were able to move into the house. And now we are finally settled. My daughter has been able to stay home with grandma and with all of the dogs that she loves. They have fun. She hasn't been sick since then because we are so careful. We practice great social distancing as well as mask wearing. We are very COVID clean family here. We have our boosters, actually. I'm proud to say, just got my 3rd shot today. So did my mother. We all went together. My arm is a little bit sore, but so far I am feeling great. It is about 8 hours since I got the shot now. What else happened? During the time that we were quarantining for Justice's COVID exposure at daycare, I ended up actually missing my white coat ceremony. So let's count this. I missed my first day of med school, I missed my white coat ceremony, and I missed basically everything in between as well. But that didn't make me any less of a med student. My mom finally got out here. We got the house put together pretty much. It was a little hard because then I had to get out of my lease at my rental and move yet again during the semester, during anatomy, to this new house. And I tried to have as much as possible set up by the time my mom got here. So, I mean, I stuffed beds into the back of my car. I moved things here. I don't know how, don't ask me. Also with an RSV sick child, but I did it. And then once my mother got here, we did it. And then I had one more unfortunate event. We were building a fence in the backyard for the dogs. I was using a fence post pounder, the big heavy weighted cylinders that you pound on top of posts to get them into the ground. And I don't know how I managed this, but I pounded that into the ground. And when I went to pull it up, I put my head in front of it. Don't ask me, but I put my head in front of it, knocked me right here. Actually, I can still, I'm like a unicorn right now, like a majestic creature, okay? I have this bump all across here, okay? And that was back in September. So it's been a good 3 months since that happened, and it messes with my wrinkles. My wrinkles are very unnatural now. I have this like divot here where I had a pretty good laceration, and it is a very unnatural wrinkle now. It does not move. It's like someone took my forehead and was like, stay there. But at this point, seriously, I was so scared of missing any more classes or anything. So I got this concussion on a Friday. I went to the ER just to make sure everything in my head was okay. There's nothing abnormal going on in there, but I was told to take it easy, not read, not do screen times. And I was like, I'm a med student and I'm a med student in hot water, so that's not gonna happen. And they said, okay, well, we understand, see you later. Luckily, my doctor's office got the notes from the ER, and so they called me a few days later and said, hey, come in, let's just check you out, follow up on this concussion diagnosis that you had in the ER. And I really wasn't feeling it. Actually, I had decided not to go in, and then I figured, oh, hell, why not? Because I was kind of dying. I was studying, I was going to school, I was spending a lot of time on campus. I had this terrible like photophobia going on. The lights killed me, made me nauseous. Most of the time I just wanted to sit around and close my eyes. I had the worst headache that just had not gone away. I had some ringing in my ear, some tinnitus. So I thought, okay, why not? Let me just go in and see what they say. Thank goodness, because my physician is quite understanding. He's clearly seen me many times now since coming out here, and he was very understanding to the fact that I again said, I can't relax. I can't take time off of school. I can't stop reading or stop studying or stop looking at my screens. And he explained that if I was unwilling to allow my brain to rest and to actually allow it to come down from all the inflammation that was in there, I wasn't going to get better. If I wasn't going to allow myself to have the opportunity to heal, then I was going to need some help. Funny thing, I also had some really bad heartburn at the time that seemed to coincide, like it started the night that I had gotten the concussion. And I just happened to throw it out when I was talking to him and say, the only time I've ever had acid reflux was actually when I was pregnant. Of course, first question, are you pregnant? Me? No way. And so he said, okay, well, it's actually not uncommon that people get acid reflux or heartburn that coincide with a concussion. So I was put on also a PPI for a while to control the heartburn and the anti-inflammatory that was going to help my head and let it actually calm down since I wasn't going to stop exercising it for the meantime. Oh man. My life changed. I got my prescriptions, and the next day I was able to study, I was able to see better, I was able to think better, and I was able to really not miss a beat. I wasn't suffering anymore. Don't suffer, never suffer. If you're suffering, you need to go to your doctor. They can help you. You are not living life if you are suffering. Final thoughts. Yeah. Med school's hard. I'm going to share that I have a physician that I know, and in kind of recounting some of my struggles from this semester with him, he actually told me that sometimes, and perhaps kind of unfairly so, med schools almost have like a military mentality. They try to, and maybe not intentionally, but they do kind of break you down in order to rebuild you and mold you into what they see as the mold for a physician. Take that for what it is. It sounds unfair. I think it's unfair, but I can also kind of see the logic behind it. Being a physician is such a unique profession. It's such a unique calling, and it's something that so many people are drawn to, but even I will admit that I don't know what it's like to live the life of a doctor. I have shadowed physicians. I have worked in healthcare for about 10 years in various capacities, but I don't know what it's like to wake up and say, I'm Dr. Liberty Lester. That day will come, but I don't know what that means today. And so I very much so am at the mercy and at the direction of my academic advisors, whose job it is to make me into a competent physician. The first year and definitely the first semester pose very unique challenges. Understand that it's going to be a rocky road. I'm not the only one who went through struggles, who had a hard time acclimating. I have peers, I have friends that are at the school with me who don't have children, who didn't relocate quite as far across the country as I did, who came just down the road and they struggled immensely. A lot of those people actually didn't perform well academically because it was their first time perhaps being away from family or really feeling the academic rigor of medical school. It was their first time trying to maintain a daytime schedule for some of those night owls. All of these things can actually feed a cycle of depression, and it can also have this propensity to lower your feelings of self-worth. Don't let that be you. Look to others around you, support each other. You can make it. You will grow stronger. Try to frame your thoughts in a way that will allow the experience of medical school to actually make you a stronger person, make you a stronger parent, make you a stronger child, friend, physician. Don't let it make you jaded. Build that strength because you can do it. You absolutely can do it. Trust me, if this mom can do it, so can you. Oh my gosh, friends, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave me a comment or a question if you have any, share the video, let us reach other people. I hope this has been helpful, entertaining, maybe a little. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you next time.